Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and the rest of YouTube. It's Thursday morning by the time you watch this, but another Mobile Suit has graced us for Banner Night, as the Gelgoog High Mobility Type GK has entered into the arena. But before we get into the nitty-gritty details, let's go over some quick news. Alright, besides the main event banner that we're getting, we also have a step-up supply drop for it as well. First step being a discounted price, half off 15 tokens for it. So if you decide you want to have this as part of your collection, good luck. On top of that, we also have a limited supply drop. Notice for the HML, the ZZ-MSV level 2 is now here, which is at 700 cost. You also have the Hyper Mega Launcher at that same level. So if you want to pull for that as well, good luck. New additions have been added to the recycle ticket counter. We have the level 2 version of the GBO2, the level 1 and level 2 Genius. I always butcher this up, but the level 1, level 2 raid version of the Jagdoga, as well as the level 1, level 2 Gallus K, the cannon version. Now added to the DP counter, we do have the level 3 Isaac. Now, of course, if you guys follow me, I'm pretty sure, like everybody else, we also have our reservations about the Isaac. So, oh boy, that's all I'm going to tell you. Alright, folks, as I stated earlier, it is a 500 cost raid unit that's usable on ground and space, and it has aquatic capabilities too. The Gelgoog High Mobility Type GK, which is piloted by Lieutenant Colonel Galcuriez. Wow, I'm sorry, I'm bad with names here, I apologize. But he's also part of the Falak faction of the Zeon Remnants. This is based off of another Gundam manga series, which unfortunately I am not familiar with, but one that BB Studios has decided to throw into the mix here. And we have had a first try with it. Not very satisfactory enough to put it on YouTube yet, so we'll probably have several goes with the suit, but it is pretty interesting to say the least, which we'll cover in the stats after we cover some other news too. So in inclusion to the main supply drops, we also have 2 different scale patterns which are part of the 10 consecutive supply drops. I'm not a big a fan of them adding cosmetics this way. Pilot suits, sure, that's one thing, but for us that want to be able to customize our suits a little more with a little more personalization, this is kind of a low blow jab type of deal. Maybe it'll end up eventually on the recycle ticket, but it is kind of a disappointing state, to say the least. As I mentioned earlier, the HML level 2 is available. It's a support if you're not familiar with that. And onto the stats of the new suit. So the Gelgoog High Mobility Type GK has an HP pool that's really decent because it's actually right behind the Garibaldi Alpha High Mobility Type. Ballistic resistances is kind of low, but you're more than likely not going to be worried about that because not a whole lot of people are going to be running that. So, and you're probably going to be too busy to worry about it because you're going to be slapping anything that's in your way, including sports. But I do find that the beam resistance, melee resistance might be the way to go, since it's a close range suit, and a lot of the suits at 500 are based on beam weaponry. But, you know, I digress. Use whatever you use, because as far as part slots go, this suit has a lot to offer, a lot of room to play with, considering, you know, what its role is. You also have a predominantly stat boost into melee strength, 55%. So you don't really have to add a whole lot, but at the same time, if you do add and bolster it, if you have the extra space, it's just going to be pain for whoever's on the receiving end. Movement speed wise, it's 135, 225 for high speed movement, which is really great. And the crazy part of this is kind of not really a one-year war suit. This is almost predominantly maybe even Zeta or further out. I'm not familiar with the manga, but the turning speed and the thruster gauge cap is pretty high. So for anybody, I would feel like if you're struggling with maneuver armor or you forget about it, you probably want to run a little more boost, because having more boost allows you to take advantage of the skill and the fact that we're going to be getting into a little bit, because I don't want to give away the surprise yet. So main weapon is a claw beam unit. It's a ZZ claw. I don't know if it's a ZZ E. I think it's a ZZ E, honestly. Power is kind of on the lower end, 500 base per shot, but it does 5 shots. So here's the funny thing too, is we took it out for one quick run. Not satisfactory yet, but we're still learning it. The big thing is that with the 5 shots, even if you don't hit all of them, if you hit 4 of them, it still doesn't really stagger them. It does flinch. It doesn't really suppress. It doesn't do a stun like a regular beam gun or anything like that. So it's a burst shot, very similar to what the Gira Zulu suits you, and very similar to, we'll say, the Reg Z custom. So if you're really good with that, this is going to be probably down your alley. You are able to charge shots, and does that at 1.5 seconds. However, I don't know if you can get 2 shots off. Moving on to its melee, this is a suit that has a heavy attack, but it's a 3-second charge. So you kind of have to be wise with it. Even if you aren't going to be using it for that purpose, it has a pretty quick cooldown time of 2 seconds with a 2300 power base. Now the crazy part is that the cooldown time for your beam naginata is a little bit longer. Not really noticeable necessarily, but it is something that I do want to mention, because it's not quite there in power right next to the claw, but at the same time, it is something that gives you a little more of a reach, but it's a little more, I would say, because your manipulator's on the left side and not your right, like most Gelgoogs. Most of your swinging arcs and reach arcs are going to be on that left side of your mobile suit, so something to kind of keep in mind. But it does give you a little more of a tool set to kind of chain stun, which, man, it is crazy once people start figuring this out. It's going to be nasty. Now, of course, very much like the ground-type Gelgoogs of the 1 Year War, you have a armed grenade launcher. This is a 3-shot burst, essentially. Up to a 3-shot, but it does fire consecutively until you let off the trigger. So, something for a quick stun, 8-second reload time, pretty good. Now, adding to the versatility, considering that I myself don't like sitting on my ass, you do get a set of grenades, 3 shots, or 3 sets of grenades, power base of 1100 with 13 seconds reload. So you do have a lot of tools to kind of play around with, especially if something is reloading or cooling off, or you don't feel comfortable pushing into a particular envelope. So very nice so far. Now here's the crazy part, getting into the nitty-gritty of the skills that this thing has, this shopping list of skills. Balancers has an assault booster, pretty normal stuff. Maneuver armor level 2, force injectors 2. It has 3 swings, very much, pretty synonymous with a raid. They also have heavy attack. The crazy part is this suit still has a power accelerator. It has it at level 2, which is pretty nuts. So you end up fighting another raid with priority 3. This thing's gonna be crazy. Well, I think it's gonna be more crazier against generals in the same class like the Mark II. So that's gonna be kicked off to the curb. This also does have the same skill as the Punchy Sutrum Gallus, where it does additional 15% damage with melee weapons against toppled enemies. That's nuts. That's crazy, based on top of whatever range strength you throw on there. That's crazy. You also have a double roll. What? You have a double roll on a raid on this suit of all things, and has anti-bast stabilizer. Level 2 leg buffer, which helps its survivability and mobility, rather. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, back buffers for damage reduction. And the crazy part is it's able to fire underwater during high-speed movement. This is gonna be pretty much the suit, one of the main suits to probably run at high cost, or mid costs rather, in aquatic suits, as far as aquatic maps go. It's crazy. I can't even wrap my head around it, because it's just like, this is a 2-star and you get all this. Man, like, I love my Hazel, but holy crap, this thing's gonna be crazy to fight against in that. If anything, yeah, the bazooka is going to be the way to go to fight this, to counter this, but we'll see. We'll see how it changes the whole landscape of 500, especially with the next clan match coming up at 500. So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes tonight's news on the latest banner, the Gelgoog GK High Mobility type. If you guys enjoyed what you saw here, learned something, anything of that sort, hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure those notifications are turned on. I appreciate that. It helps me out and helps let you guys know when new content, when all these streams come out and are available. Outside of that, we'll try to get another gameplay video, something a little more satisfactory that really showcases the strengths of the suit, because my first time with it wasn't exactly the, I would say, the best that really showed it off, that really showed off its strengths. But, you know, we'll keep you guys posted. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you on the next one.